Yeah, numerical mathematics, theory, methods, and application. Like that, we have journals, but they are interdisciplinary in nature. Yeah, algebras and representation theory. Differential equations. That is one journal. Point with the 0.674. There are many. It's not that we do not have factor journals. Yeah, Journal of Mathematical Society of Japan, 0.664. Acta Mathematica here, even now. Journal of Pseudo or Differential Operators. Please come back. So now let's come back to what is the disadvantage with the impact factor? Anyone please? There are advantages and disadvantages. I have published, let us suppose, one paper in X journal. Its impact factor is on 2. My paper might not have received at least one citation, but still I claim that I have published a paper in a journal of impact factor 2. I can take the advantage of that. In fact, my paper has not received any citation by others, but still I claim that my paper I have published a paper in the impact factor, in the journal of impact factor 2. That is one disadvantage with this impact factor journal. I can claim, but I don't have any contribution in that. Right? So that is one disadvantage. Advantages are many. We have known everything is now. People are talking about impact factor journals. Even in our APS course, just now you have witnessed, right? If impact factor lies between 1 and 2, it carries 5 marks. If it lies between 2 and 3, it carries 10 marks, 10 points. That way, there are many advantages. But there is one disadvantage, that a paper, a author, which paper might have one paper which did not receive any citation, but still he claims that, right? That journal. Now let's come to this another high-end matrix, immediacy index. If you look at the computation of impact factor, then it is just that is based on last 2 preceding years database citations. So that means impact factor of a journal 2022 is based on the database of basis of 21 and 20. Immediately we are not going to receive the right. Even impact factor of 2022 will be published in 2023. Immediately we are not in the same year. No way we can have the list of impact factors. Right. 2022 impact factor we cannot have at the end of December. Somewhere in 2023 March or April we are going to have the result of this. Right? It involves some computations and all that. Right? So now let's come to immediacy index. As title sounds, it is the average number of times an article is cited in the year it is published. So in the same year you can have this immediacy index, unlike impact factor. Let us look at the formula. For example, the 2020 immediacy index for a journal would be calculated as follows. That is A by B. 2020 immediacy index is A by B, where A is the number of times articles published by the journal in 2020 was cited in the. That means number of citations of 2020. B is total number of papers of the year 2020. Number of citations by total number of papers of 2020 only. That means 2020 impact factor, this immediacy index depends on only the current citations and current number of papers, unlike impact factor, right? So, for comparing journals specializing in cutting edge research, the immediacy index can provide a useful perspective. In mathematics, we are not going to, as I mentioned earlier, we are not going to receive any citations immediately. In medicine, it's okay, immediacy index. In same year, in same week, yes, they can expect citations from others. In mathematics, if you publish a paper this year, next year, there might be some citations. Right? So, therefore, immediacy index is not relevant for maths and physical sciences and engineering journals. It is just relevant, it is good for only medicine journals. Right? Because there will be a frequency of citations in medicine for medicine journals. So, now let's go to disadvantages. That's what I was mentioning. Immediacy index favors frequently issued journals over less frequently issued. If there are maybe 6 issues per year, it is going to receive more citations. If there are only one or two issues for a particular journal, then it is going to receive very less number of citations. So therefore, the journal with less number of these volumes or issues has some disadvantage, right? So it favors journals published early in the year. For example, if a journal first issue is in the month of January, naturally by December or October, November, December, it is going to receive some citations. If the issue is in November or December, no way, right? We have at the end of December, we have very hardly very few number of citations. That way, so therefore the journals which have early issues in January has some advantage in the case of immediacy index. Now let's come to, now people started talking about H index. So far we have seen low level citation indexes, SCI, engineering index journal, Scopus index journal as a bottom line metric, next level, impact factor and immediacy index. So they are all for only journals, not for individual authors. Right? I was saying that, I was mentioning. Even my paper doesn't have any citations, still I claim that I have published a paper in that journal, Journal of Impact Factor 2. So actually it's not measuring our individual performance. The impact factor journals is not for, it is only for journals, not for individual performance. So if you look at this H index, yes, it measures the individual performance, unlike impact factor and immediacy index. So this H index is an author level metric. It really measures the performance of researcher, unlike impact factor and immediacy index that attempts to measure both the productivity and citation impact of the publication. This index was proposed by this Hertz, a physicist at University of California, San Diego. So it reflects both the number of publications and number of citations per publication. And this is how do we compute this H index? Let us see. If F is the function that corresponds to number of citations for each publication, the value of F are to be arranged in the descending order. I will give you illustration, that way we can understand better. Right? Yeah, please. Yeah, look at this. Let us take this illustration. So these are the papers of some ex researcher. So they are arranged in descending order. Paper 1 has 101 citations, paper 2 has 86 citations, paper 3 has 76 citations, paper 4 has 56 citations, paper 5 has 16, and paper 6 has 12 citations, and paper 7 8 citations. So his H index is 7. That H index of that particular author is 7. Means that he has 7 papers with at least 7 citations. Right? So this paper has 8, 12, 16, 56, 100. Here author index is 7. Author H index is 7. I was mentioning right in my this 8, my H index is 8. Means that my 8 papers of mine have at least 8 citations. One paper may have 100 publications. That is different. But my 8 papers have at least 8 citations. Right? Here this the H index of this particular researcher is 7. Look, this 7 papers have at least 7 citations. That's the meaning of H index, please. This is a formula for H index. So H index is maximum or minimum of FOI. This FI is number of citations. This is the paper number. It is number of citations. Is minimum of that. So yeah. This way also you can compute the H index. Yeah. If you take papers along x-axis and citations along y-axis, and you take y is equal to x line, so this is H index. More than H citations. These are all the papers with more than H citations. Y is equal to x line. Right? If you draw y is equal to x line, then these are the papers with H citations. There are H papers with at least H citations. Therefore, H index of that particular researcher is H. This is right. This is take H papers along x-axis, pertinent citations along y-axis. Draw this y is equal to x line. Then this gives you is H index. Right? This way you can easily compute H index. So like here. So let us this is graph pertaining to some researcher. This is the graph pertaining to another researcher. So here H index is more, right? So his performance is better than the performance of this guy, right? So here the H index is like this, right? Here H index is less. That way we can compare the performance of two researchers, right? Yeah. So let us see. H index combines an assessment of both quantity and quality. H index relies on citation to papers, not the journals. Unlike impact factor and immediacy index, H index is based on only individual performance, author's performance, because it depends on the number of citations of that particular author. In the case of impact factor, it depends on the citations of all authors, right? So that is, therefore it is a author level metric. It's a good for comparing scientists within a field at a similar stages in their careers. What does it mean? A scientist in mathematics cannot be compared with a scientist in medicine, right? So, and a scientist of age 25 cannot be compared with the scientist of age 55, because naturally the 55 age guy would have more number of citations when compared to the age of that of 20, 30. So it may be used to compare not just individuals but also departments, programs, or any other group of entities. Yes, we can compare department of mathematics and department of physics. We can compute the H index of mathematics department and we can compute the H index of the physics department. And that way we can compare. Now, even this is reflected in even NAC framework. People, NAC people, UGC, they are asking what is the H index of your own department. This all the departments, right? So like more citation measures, the H index is also field dependent. What does it mean? Mathematics people cannot have more citations, right? No, we hardly. I am a researcher in porous materials. There are very few members in porous materials. Nobody is there to cite my paper, right? Even there are many researchers in fluid mechanics, but there are very few in solid mechanics these days. So nobody is there to cite my paper. That way I will have very less number of citations. That way my impact factor will, H index will be very low when compared to that of even H index of a researcher in fluid mechanics, right? So it only includes citation to journals, and this H index is not just is compared to only journals. It doesn't consider textbooks, citations, and book chapters, and reports, conference papers, etc. And it can be manipulated by self. I can say my students both are here, Dr. N. P. Rajkumar and Dr. Mallikarjun Reddy. I can tell them that you cite my papers. Right? I can enforce them to cite my papers. That way I will have some citations. That way there can be some manipulations in there. Right? So there is a problem of finding reference standards. There are many more versatile indicators for research evaluation. Now the people recently they started talking about I-10 index. So it is very simple when compared to H index. H index involves the graphing and some formulas and all that, but it is very straightforward. This I-10 index. It is proposed by this Google Scholar. It is a number of papers with at least 10 citations. My I-10 index is 8, means there are 8 papers with 10 citations. That's very straightforward. It is very straightforward. My I-10 index is 15, means I have 15 papers with 10 citations, right? More than 10 citations, at least 10 citations. So advantage is it is simple and straightforward to calculate, unlike H index, right? So you can just register with the Google, then you can directly have your I-10 index. You can go to Google Scholar and you can just put your name. You are going to get your I-10 index, right? Yeah, that's so. Bottom line metric is whether that particular journal is indexed in front-end database, standard database like SCI, or engineering index, or Scopus index. The next level metrics, journal metrics are impact factor and immediacy index, and author level metric is H index and I-10 index. This is about my talk. I wanted to give you some mathematics, but it was given very short time, just 24 hours, 48 hours I was given. So I am just keeping this presentation. This is equal to also. But, that's what really one must know.